Hello. Today is April 23rd, 2022. Hope you are well. So, this is going to be a part two on a recording that we did recently entitled Meeting a Person Where They're At. And today we're going to talk about the aspect of that subject having to do with when another person is not meeting us where we're at and how to navigate ourselves in those situations. Because, quite frankly, not everybody's on board for this yet, at least not in behavior. Maybe most people would agree that it's a good idea to meet a person where they're at, but as far as actually practicing that, that's another thing. And so we may find ourselves where that it's more than just a nice statement. We want to have that become part of our way of being in the world because it's healthy. It's good for us. And it's just, it's just good. It's a good thing. So, now we don't want to get discouraged when we find that other people do not reciprocate that, and they're for whatever reason they're just kind of stuck in an old way of doing things and continuing to meet the world from the perspective of where they are and other people instead of the other way. Sorry about that. And so, we might find it discouraging. We may find it discouraging, but we want to realize that that's where a person is at, right? See, in that situation, where another person is at is, I'm not going to extend any olive branches. I'm not going to participate in this thing. I am what I am, and I'm gonna do what I do and whatever. And so now that calls on us again. That's where that person is. So it's a lesson for us. People, we've talked about this before. People are where they are, and it didn't take 1 minute to get there. So maybe for some of us, it might, I don't know what other word to use, but easy. But for some of us, it may be a little bit easier to begin to open up in this way of meeting another person where they're at. So if we've already begun the process of letting go of things that no longer serve, things that are no longer helping us or beneficial, things that are harmful, then maybe in that case, it'll be a little bit easier for us to develop this quality. But for people who haven't really begun that heavy duty, deep down, roll up your sleeves, hard work of continuing to investigate what else is lurking inside that is pulling me down. For those people, it's not a judgment either. So for those people, it may be more challenging to begin to meet others where they're at, because that's not something that we can separate from ourselves. And people have their value system, people have their belief system, people have their conditioning, as we talk about People have, like we said, for belief systems, very sometimes really, really rigid beliefs that they're holding on to, and maybe those rigid beliefs is what's keeping a person from just loosening up the grip a little bit so that they can start to you know meet others where they're at. Because now, so let's make that a little more clear here. If I have a belief system with very rigid rules to it in place that I'm holding on to super, super tight, and I don't want to let go, then if accepting you where you are is going to cause me to let go of any of those beliefs, at least in my own mind, if it's going to require that I let go of those beliefs that I've been holding on to sometimes for 40, 50, 60 years, yeah, that might not happen. Because, and if it's a religious thing, you're asking me to accept you and your ideas and opinions and feelings that are in conflict with the belief system I hold. And so for a person like that, or if it's not a belief system if it's not something quite like that, something more subtle, if my belief system, part of that belief system has to do with the person that I am, the person that I believe I am, the identity that I'm holding on to and that I present when I'm dealing with others, that, I don't know how I started that sentence, but anyway, that image that I hold of myself within the belief system that I have is sometimes for people, it's like trying to imagine something that is cemented in. And you talk about flow. We talk about the flow of whatever moving through. But if you have something that is cemented in you because you believe that this is who you are, and you're going to hold on to that to the bitter end, then if you asking me to meet you where you are is going to in any way, even potentially, threaten that which is firmly cemented inside of me, no. So, and it has, so when we think of it that way, we're able to step back and realize that, people do things because of who they believe they are, how they move around this place, and all of it goes back to them. Very little of what people are doing, including not meeting another person where they are, has to do with the other person. See, I've built up this thing that's taken me however long, maybe many, many decades to build. And that is almost a shrine. I don't know. It's a sacred thing to people. At least for them, that is their truth right now. And we can't imagine that that's something that's going to be easily resolved or quickly resolved or changed or altered in any way when that's the situation. So when we think of things this way, it kind of helps us to not take things personally and not compare again, comparing that we're not meeting a person where they are. If we're comparing their behavior and their words to our own, that's not meeting a person where they are, right? So it's a lesson for us again in meeting them just where they're at with their whatever it is. None of us is free of all the conditioning. So we can't look down on people like that, and we can't, all that dumb stuff. And for some people, it's a matter of survival. I'll die before, I try to make some big adjustments in the way that I move around in this place, and then the thoughts that I'm holding and the conversation that I keep. So, and at the end of the day, that's not our business. It really isn't. If that's not who we are, and that's, if we're dealing with somebody and that is their MO, that's really not our business. We have enough on our plate. It's going to be another opportunity for us to apply the things that we're learning now. And yeah, because none of us is squeaky clean in this, or whatever you want to call it. There's nobody can look down on other people dictating whatever kooky ideas that we think that they should be. Yeah, no. So we're past that. Anyway, those are some thoughts, and we wanted to talk about this because it can be challenging, especially in relationships with people that in some ways we feel like there's a connection or closeness. And so sometimes we take that to mean that across the board, we're just going to get on very well and be in harmony and agreement with another person on every level, about everything, all the time. And that's just not, and we may have a feeling of disappointment when another person isn't sharing our truth. But again, in the previous recording, we talked about that. So we just come back to the reality that our truth is nobody else's, and we still have choices. We can hold on to negative feelings, or so-called negative feelings. We can take things personally. We can do a bunch of different, we can have all kinds of responses to how another person is living their truth. But that's on us. We still have to allow for, we have to allow others to be what they're going to be in this place. And let them be in the driver's seat. And if everything they're doing seems upside down, inside, or whatever, if we come into moments where we're not in agreement, okay. If they are putting expectations on us based on their truth, well, obviously we don't need to submit to that. Again, it's our choice. But we said that in the last one as well. We don't have the responsibility to live our existence out according to someone else's truth, nor do they have that responsibility toward us. And yeah, that might cause a little bit of disturbance in the relationship, a little bit of, whatever, some bumps in the road, so be it. That is the nature of relationships. Sometimes we have an idea that a, quote, good relationship is always going to be rainbows and unicorns and sunshine. That's not reality. That's not the way life moves. Even in the world, in everything in nature around us, there are moments of struggle, of conflict, and things that are that's just the way life is. So when we have situations where maybe another person is trying to force their thing on us, there is a way that we can respectfully say, no, thank you. No, thank you. I love you. I care about you. But yeah, in this case, let's kind of move along. And if somebody gets butt hurt because you don't want to submit, well, then that's on them. Sorry. And that also means that now we're going to have to figure out a way to keep moving. Oops. We're going to have to figure out a way to keep moving and be okay with other people not being okay with us living in our truth. That's something that we really talked about extensively in the series we did entitled Living One's Truth. There is that aspect to it. Sometimes living our truth ain't gonna fly with some people. Oh, well, if we're serious about doing the thing, then those kind of things become petty. And maybe that's uncomfortable. Maybe there's a little bit of tension in the atmosphere, but we don't want to betray ourselves. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Go back and listen to those. Anyway. So yeah, that was part 2. Hopefully that has been informative for someone out there, or maybe it's something that resonates with you. Maybe you're in a situation right now and you're like, yeah, I can see this really can apply in this or whatever. Anyway, as always, we want to wish you much love. Bye.